All right, this is Marco Palmero, founding director of Ulysses Investments. In this video, I want to share with you why I believe our acquisition strategy is the strongest that you can find in the marketplace, and why the targets that we select and how we put them together can actually benefit all the people that are working with us on these acquisitions. So I really want to cover one single point in this video, which is how people handle acquisitions and how these new businesses are managed after they get purchased by new parties. So if you're familiar with acquisitions, you probably know that big groups or organizations generally acquire companies and then they want to rebrand them. They want to maybe they already have a brand and they want to put their name on the new acquisition. They want to impose a brand on the company, and they really want to change a lot in the business. Sometimes they also bring in their own management, their own staff. They change all the people in the business, and that can work sometimes, but honestly I believe it can be detrimental, especially if you are acquiring small medium-sized companies as we are doing at Ulysses Investment. And the reason for that is actually quite simple. In small medium-sized companies, relationship is very important, and people really trust the relationship that is created and that exists between the staff and the patients in healthcare, for example, in the brand that has been built by a doctor or by a practitioner over many years. And what we don't want to do when we acquire a company is change these things that can potentially affect performances of that company in the short term, but also in the long term, because people might leave, patients might not want to be involved with that business once the name changes, the staff is not the same anymore. And so sometimes changes cannot be beneficial when you're acquiring a company, because the transition is actually one of the critical points when making an acquisition. At Ulysses Investments, we want to make sure we can mitigate risks in that period of time, and we actually want to bring them down to zero. And in order to do that, we try to change as little as possible in these acquisitions so that we can make sure the business will still perform, because very little has changed inside of the organization at its own core. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say that changes will not be made, because most of the times we have effective ideas to make these businesses better from day one. And those things will happen, these changes will happen over time. But the idea is, let's keep as much as we can as it is, and let's work on it to make it even better. So how our ideas can benefit this company, how can we integrate our ideas into this business so that we can make it grow and thrive over time. So I think that change is necessary if you want to grow the company, but also you got to be careful in sometimes changing the brand and the staff right away can be very detrimental for a small medium-sized practice in the healthcare space, maybe in other sectors as well. So I think that one of the reasons why our model is so consistent is because we change as little as possible. We want to keep the company very consistent and safe throughout its journey, in the transition period, and make sure we can deliver on it and make sure it grows and become better by implementing strategies and new ideas that are actually integrated in something that is already existing, instead of imposed on a business